Welcome back to ABCGH Spoilers channel. Today, we dive into the latest mystery-shaking General Hospital, a tangled web of deception, hidden motives, and a shocking frame-up that could send Jason Morgan back behind bars. With Cyrus Renault's sudden disappearance, all eyes are on Jason, but could he be the victim of an elaborate setup? As the evidence piles up and the walls start closing in, even those closest to Jason may be forced to question his innocence. Let's break down this high-stakes drama and uncover the truth behind the frame job that could change everything. A case built on shadows. Who's behind the setup? Jason Morgan has always been a man living on the edge, caught between the law and the criminal underworld. But this time, the stakes are higher than ever. With Cyrus Renault mysteriously disappearing without a trace, Jason has suddenly become the prime suspect. The shocking part? He might not even know he's being framed. Jack Brennan, the mastermind behind this deception, has worked meticulously to make sure all roads lead back to Jason. His methods are calculated, ruthless, and executed with surgical precision. Could he have planted the very evidence needed to make Jason look guilty? The biggest clue lies in how the crime scene was wiped clean, something only a highly trained professional could pull off. While Jocelyn was the one who shot Cyrus in self-defense, Brennan saw an opportunity to manipulate the situation to his advantage. By covering up Jocelyn's involvement, Brennan ensured that no one could prove the true circumstances of Cyrus' demise. But he didn't stop there. He needed a scapegoat, someone with the skill set in history to make the story stick. Jason was the perfect candidate. But why Jason? What does Brennan stand to gain from this? Brennan's hidden agenda, a deadly game of control. Brennan has always had an interest in Jason, but not in the way most people might assume. He doesn't just want Jason gone. He wants Jason under his control. There's speculation that Brennan once tried to recruit Jason to work for the WSB, not as an agent, but as a shadow operative, an assassin who could take out targets with no questions asked. Jason, being the man he is, wanted no part of Brennan's deadly games. He refused, making it clear that he didn't trust him. And that refusal may have sealed his fate. If Brennan couldn't recruit Jason, the next best option was to eliminate him as a threat. What better way to do that than by making him the prime suspect in a murder investigation? But Brennan's plan is more insidious than just getting Jason arrested. The way he's setting up the crime scene suggests a long-term play. By making it look like Jason was responsible for making Cyrus disappear, Brennan not only removes a dangerous rival but also ensures that Jason will never be able to reclaim his old life. Even if Jason evades prison, his reputation will be forever tarnished. The missing pieces. Where is Cyrus' body? One of the most crucial details in this mystery is that Cyrus Renault's body has yet to be found. That alone raises red flags. If Jason had truly taken Cyrus out, why would he go to such great lengths to dispose of the evidence in such a professional manner? The level of precision needed to erase all traces of a crime scene is something beyond Jason's usual methods. He's not the kind of man who covers up his actions with meticulous care. He acts fast and efficiently, but never like a ghost in the night. That's exactly what makes Anna Devane suspicious. As a former spy and law enforcement veteran, Anna knows that only someone with expert-level experience could eliminate a crime scene without leaving a single trace. If Brennan has hidden Cyrus' body, he now holds all the power. At any moment, he could discover the remains in a location that implicates Jason even further. Worse, he could have planted the murder weapon in a place tied to Jason, making the case airtight. For now, the body remains missing. But when it surfaces, it's bound to bring devastating consequences. Drew Quartermaine's role, will he turn on Jason? As Jason fights to clear his name, one person who could help him is staying suspiciously silent. Drew Quartermaine. Jason was last seen visiting Drew, trying to mend fences for the sake of their shared past and their connection to Sam McCall's memory. The meeting didn't go well, ending in an argument rather than reconciliation. Drew's next moves are crucial. He could provide Jason with an alibi, at least for part of the time frame when Cyrus was disappeared. But will he? Given their complicated history, Drew may not be so quick to jump to Jason's defense. There's even the unsettling possibility that he could be working with Brennan, knowingly or unknowingly, in framing Jason. If Drew refuses to back up Jason's story, the prosecution will have an easier time painting him as the prime suspect. The only other potential witnesses who might be able to vouch for Jason's whereabouts are Sasha Corbin and Tracy Quartermaine, who saw him at the Quartermaine mansion. But there's a problem: this was after Cyrus disappeared. That means their testimonies might not be enough to clear him. If Drew truly believes Jason had something to do with Cyrus' disappearance, he may decide to stay out of it entirely, letting Jason fend for himself. But is that really what's happening? Or is Drew hiding something bigger? Anna Devayne's suspicions, will she see through the lies? Anna Devayne is no stranger to deception, but this case has her questioning everything. She doesn't trust Brennan, and while she has her suspicions about Jason, something about the case doesn't add up. If Jason really was responsible, why would the evidence be so perfectly erased? Why would there be no slip-ups, no mistakes? Anna is the kind of investigator who follows her instincts, and they're telling her there's more to the story than meets the eye. But the problem is, she's being led down a trail that points directly to Jason. She's been warning him about getting too deep into dangerous territory, and now it seems like her worst fears have come true. But will she take the evidence at face value, or will she dig deeper to uncover the real mastermind behind this setup? What happens next? With every passing day, the walls are closing in on Jason Morgan. If Brennan's plan succeeds, Jason could either end up in prison for a crime he didn't commit or be forced into working for an organization he wants no part of. The stakes have never been higher, and the people he once trusted may no longer be in his corner. Will Jason be able to prove his innocence before it's too late? Can Anna see through the smoke and mirrors to expose Brennan's true intentions? And most importantly, where is Cyrus Renault's body, and when will it turn up? Next, we're diving into the ever-evolving saga of General Hospital's most formidable force, Sonny Corinthos. He has faced down countless enemies, survived assassination attempts, and endured the brutal consequences of a life in the mob. But now, as he recovers from heart surgery that was meant to fix an old wound, he finds himself at a crossroads once again. Will he finally make the long-discussed exit from the criminal underworld, or will his newfound strength push him deeper into the game? Let's unpack the layers of this intense storyline and what it means for the future of Port Charles. The dilemma: can Sonny ever truly leave the mob? Sonny Corinthos may have walked away from danger more times than anyone can count, but leaving the mob entirely? That's a different story. His latest brush with death may have forced him to reflect on his legacy, but is that enough to make him dismantle an empire he has built for decades? If Sonny were to step down, the risks would be astronomical. Every crime syndicate he has ever crossed would see his retirement as an opportunity, a moment of weakness ripe for exploitation. His family, friends, and allies could become easy targets, and history has already shown that power vacuums in Port Charles are quickly filled by opportunistic threats. We can't forget what happened when Sonny lost his memory and ended up in Nixon Falls. Carly Spencer had the perfect chance to walk away from the business, but she knew better. Staying in the game wasn't about personal power, it was about survival. So, if Sonny truly wants to step away, he has to be certain that his departure won't set off a chain reaction of chaos. But how can he ensure that? Who will carry the torch? One of the biggest challenges Sonny faces isn't just leaving, it's figuring out who, if anyone, can take over in his absence. In the past, one name always came to mind: Jason Morgan. But those days are gone. Jason has made it clear that he has other priorities now. The death of Sam McCall has left him as the sole provider for their son, Danny, and he refuses to let his dangerous career jeopardize his child's future. That means that Sonny's long-held assumption that Jason would step in when the time came is no longer an option. So, if Jason isn't taking over, who will? Does Sonny have someone else he trusts enough to maintain control? Dex Heller once seemed like a promising candidate, but his loyalties remain questionable. Brick and Frank are reliable lieutenants, but they lack the vision and leadership to command the Empire as Sonny does. Could this lead Sonny to a different path, one where he doesn't appoint a successor at all, but rather, tries to dismantle his organization piece by piece? The risks of walking away even if Sonny is serious about retiring, the reality of his situation makes it nearly impossible. There's no off-ramp for men like him, and every decision he makes comes with a cost. If he doesn't choose a successor, the power struggle in the wake of his departure could be catastrophic. Rival organizations like Selena Wu's Syndicate or even Valentine Cassidy's growing empire would likely move in to seize territory. Without a clear leader stepping into his place, the Corinthos name could be erased from the criminal landscape entirely. Moreover, Sonny's enemies aren't going to let him just fade into obscurity. They will see his retirement as a weakness, and the moment he lets his guard down, they could strike. That means Sonny would have to spend the rest of his life looking over his shoulder, never truly free from the world he spent years trying to control. This raises an even bigger question: would walking away actually make him less safe? Sonny's perspective, a lesson he should have learned before. What makes this situation even more perplexing is that Sonny has been here before. Over the years, he has had multiple wake-up calls that should have made him question his future. From the death of Morgan Corinthos to Michael cutting ties with him, Sonny has been forced to confront the dangers of his world time and time again. So why is this different? Why now? The answer likely lies in his recent health scare. Facing down the possibility of death has forced Sonny to reckon with his mortality in a way he never has before. This wasn't just about dodging a bullet or surviving an enemy attack, this was his own body betraying him, reminding him that even the strongest men have limits. But does that mean he'll actually change his ways? Or is this just another fleeting moment of reflection that will fade as soon as he feels strong again? Sonny's enemies are watching. Will he show weakness? One of Sonny's biggest concerns has always been how others perceive him. The moment his enemies sense weakness, they'll exploit it. This is exactly why he initially wanted to keep his health issues a secret. If word got out that he was vulnerable, it could invite a wave of attacks on both him and his loved ones. But now that he's feeling stronger after his surgery, there's a real possibility that he'll abandon his retirement plans altogether. His logic might be that as long as he stays in power, he remains untouchable. The question is that really true? Even if Sonny is physically stronger, the simple fact remains, he isn't invincible. If he keeps playing this dangerous game, it's only a matter of time before his luck runs out. Final thoughts: what will Sonny choose? So, where does this leave Sonny Corinthos? Is he truly ready to walk away from the mob, or is he simply fooling himself into believing he has a choice? The odds are stacked against him. If he tries to dismantle his empire, he could put his family in even greater danger. If he appoints a successor, he risks losing control over the criminal network he spent decades building. And if he stays in power, he's gambling with his health and his future. One thing is clear: Sonny's next move will define the rest of his life. Will he finally step away from the life that has defined him for so long, or will he double down, convincing himself that he's still the king of Port Charles? The decision he makes now will determine whether his story ends in power or tragedy. Next, we're tackling one of the biggest casting shakeups in General Hospital history: the departure of Charles Measure from the role of Jack Brennan and the introduction of Chris McKenna as his replacement. Fans were left reeling, especially since Brennan was finally heating up with Carly Spencer, and just as sparks were flying, the rug was pulled out from under them. But now that McKenna has taken over the role, it's time to assess what's next for Brennan, Carly, and the intriguing storyline surrounding Jocelyn Jax. Let's dive into the drama. A new Jack Brennan, can fans embrace the change? It's never easy for audiences to accept a new actor in an already beloved role, and McKenna's introduction as Jack Brennan has been no exception. Charles Measure had left an indelible mark, making the transition even harder. His deep blue eyes, his rugged charm, and that irresistible Aussie accent made Brennan a standout character, especially alongside Carly Spencer. But now, fans are being asked to see Brennan in a new light, and for many, it's a tough adjustment. It doesn't help that Measure's departure came at a pivotal moment just as Carly and Brennan had finally shared their much-anticipated first kiss. The chemistry was undeniable, and their slow-burn romance was one of the most exciting developments in GH. The timing of the switch felt like a gut punch. Just as fans were ready to see where the relationship would go, a new actor stepped in, changing the dynamic entirely. But is that necessarily a bad thing? Or does McKenna bring something new to the table? Chris McKenna's take on Brennan, a different kind of charisma. Chris McKenna is stepping into the role with a fresh approach, and while he lacks the signature accent that made Measure's Brennan so alluring, he brings his own brand of intensity. It's unfair to directly compare the two actors because they are inherently different, but McKenna has already shown that he can command attention in the role. One of the most notable changes is how McKenna's Brennan interacts with other characters, particularly Jocelyn Jax. His chemistry with Eden McCoy has been undeniable, and the way he helped clean up the crime scene after Joss killed Cyrus Renault adds an intriguing layer to their dynamic. Unlike Measure's Brennan, who had a more brooding and mysterious aura, McKenna's take is sharper and more calculating. He isn't just a love interest for Carly, he's a player in the bigger Port Charles game. And that's where things get interesting. Jocelyn Jax and the WSB, a new path forward? With Brennan now officially recruiting Jocelyn Jax, there's a possibility that her storyline is about to take a dramatic turn. Jocelyn has always been a strong-willed, instinct-driven character, a trait she inherited from Carly Spencer, and the idea of her working for the WSB is an exciting possibility. Could she follow in Anna Devane's footsteps? Jocelyn has already proven that she has what it takes to handle high-stakes situations, and Brennan sees that potential in her. If she accepts his offer, it could redefine her entire future in Port Charles. More importantly, what does this mean for her relationships? Her alliance with Brennan could drive a wedge between her and Carly, especially if Carly disapproves of her getting involved in the espionage world. And let's not forget, there's still the lingering question of whether Brennan has ulterior motives for bringing Jocelyn into the fold. Does he genuinely see potential in her, or is he using her for a greater agenda? Carly and Brennan, will the romance survive the casting change? Fans were fully invested in Carly and Brennan's romantic arc before Measure's departure, and while McKenna is stepping into the role, the dynamic has undoubtedly shifted. The first kiss between Carly and Brennan was electric, filled with tension, longing, and unspoken promises. But just as things were heating up, fans were forced to recalibrate. McKenna and Laura Wright, Carly, don't yet have the same fiery sizzle that Measure and Wright shared, but that doesn't mean the romance is dead. It just might take time to evolve into something different. Some viewers are hopeful that Carly and Brennan's relationship will continue to grow, while others feel like the chemistry just isn't the same. But given how well McKenna and Wright have worked together in recent scenes, especially in Carly's kitchen, it's clear that their dynamic has potential. More importantly, Carly deserves a love story that isn't tied to Sonny Corinthos. If Brennan can be that for her, then perhaps fans should give this pairing the time it needs to find its footing. The challenge of replacing a fan favorite. Stepping into an established role is always difficult, but replacing a beloved actor like Charles Measure is an even greater challenge. McKenna had the near-impossible task of making Brennan his own, and so far, he's done a commendable job. The biggest hurdle he faces isn't just proving himself to the audience, it's overcoming the deep emotional investment fans had in Measure's portrayal. But with time, patience, and strong writing, McKenna has the potential to redefine the role in a way that works. It's important to remember that General Hospital has undergone many recasts over the years, some of which have been jarring at first but ultimately worked out in the long run. Could McKenna be another success story? Final thoughts, should fans give McKenna a chance? Change is never easy, especially when it comes to beloved characters, but GH has a history of making even the most controversial recasts work. While Measure's departure was disappointing, Chris McKenna deserves the chance to make Jack Brennan his own. He has already shown that he can hold his own in scenes with both Laura Wright, Carly, and Eden McCoy, Jocelyn, and his version of Brennan has a more tactical, calculating edge. That could make for a compelling long-term arc. The question now is, will fans be patient enough to let this new incarnation of Brennan develop? It's too early to tell whether McKenna's chemistry with Wright will evolve into something as captivating as what we saw with Measure, but if the writing continues to support the character, it's possible. For now, all we can do is wait and see, and maybe give McKenna a fair shot at proving he's the right man for the role. So what do you think, GH fans? Are you warming up to the new Jack Brennan, or do you still wish Measure had stayed in the role? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.